Jason shivered as he walked down the cold, busy street. His coat was torn, his shoes barely held together, and his stomach ached with hunger. Life had not been kind to him. Once, he had dreams, ambitions, and a home. Now, he had nothing. As he trudged along, eyes downcast, something caught his attention, a crumpled $5 bill lying on the sidewalk. His heart leapt. It wasn't much, but to him, it meant everything. He could buy a warm meal, something to keep the gnawing hunger at bay, even if just for a little while. Jason bent down, picked up the bill, and looked around. No one seemed to be searching for it. He let out a breath of relief. This was a rare stroke of luck, and he wasn't about to waste it. He turned toward a small corner store, already imagining the taste of something warm, when he heard soft sobs nearby. Just a few feet away, a young woman stood at the checkout counter, cradling a tiny baby in her arms. Her eyes were red, her hands trembling as she counted the last of her change. I don't have enough," she whispered to the cashier, her voice breaking. The cashier, a kind-looking older man, sighed. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I can't give it for free." The woman bit her lip, looking down at her baby, who whimpered softly. It was then that Jason saw what she was trying to buy: diapers. Jason gripped the $5 bill in his hand. His stomach clenched. This was his only chance to eat today. He hadn't eaten since yesterday. But as he looked at the mother, the way she held her baby close, her silent tears of desperation, he knew what he had to do. He stepped forward and placed the $5 bill on the counter. "Here, take this," he said softly. The woman turned to him, eyes wide. I can't take this. You need it too." Jason shook his head. "Your baby needs it more than I do." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she took the money with shaking hands. "Thank you, I don't even know how to repay you." He smiled, though hunger still gnawed at him. "Just take care of your little one. That's all that matters." The woman nodded, clutching the diapers and holding her baby close. "I won't forget this," she whispered. Jason left the store, his stomach empty but his heart strangely full. Years passed. Life had only grown harder for Jason. He was still homeless, still struggling. Time had carved deep lines into his face, and his body felt weaker than before. One evening, as he sat on a bench in the park, watching the city lights flicker in the distance, a pair of polished heels stopped in front of him. "Jason," a soft voice said. He looked up. A woman in a sharp business suit stood before him, her eyes filled with recognition. I don't think I know you," he said hesitantly. She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "You may not remember me, but I remember you. Years ago, you gave your last $5 so I could buy diapers for my baby." Jason blinked. The memory rushed back. "That was you." She nodded. "That $5 changed my life. I was at my lowest, but your kindness gave me hope. I promised myself that if I ever made it out of that situation, I'd find you and repay your kindness." She reached into her bag and pulled out a check. $50,000. "This is yours." Jason's breath caught in his throat. I can't take this." "You can, and you will," she insisted. "Because that $5 wasn't just money. It was hope, and now, I want to give that back to you." Jason's hands trembled as he took the check. His eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to say." "You already said enough that day," she replied, smiling. Jason looked at the check, then at the woman who had once been a stranger in need. He had given her hope in a moment of despair, never expecting anything in return. And now, life had found a way to give it back to him. Lesson: the size of your kindness doesn't matter, only the size of your heart.